Coming up on the Joy Behar Show, Grammy winner Patti Austin reflects on her 30-year friendship with Michael Jackson and the demons that plague the King of Pop. And did Michael Jackson's kids witness their father's drug use? Joy talks to Mackenzie Phillips, whose dad was a drug user, about the impact that has on a child's development. Plus, Harry Belafonte tells Joy about going from poor Jamaican boy to one of America's most iconic civil rights pioneers. That and more starting right now.
As the Conrad Murray trial continues, a picture of Michael Jackson as a deeply troubled, potentially drug-dependent man emerges. But was that the way he appeared to people who knew him well? Here to talk about their memories of Michael are Patti Austin, Grammy-winning singer who knew Michael Jackson for 30 years, and another longtime Jackson family friend, Flo Anthony. Welcome, ladies, to the show. Patti, you worked with Michael multiple times over the years. What do you remember best about him?
His energy, his ever-ready bunny, hummingbird, never stop energy. He was always on fire, always a perfectionist, always tremendously professional, very silly in private moments. Yeah, very silly. Had a very silly sophomoric sense of humor, loved to jump out from behind doors and scare me. He loved me because I scare very easily, and he would, whenever I would be heading for the studio and he knew I was coming in the door, he'd always be behind a door a little bit further down the hall, and he'd jump out literally and do, you know, like boo. And I would always jump, and it just made his day.
Yeah, he was a practical joker, kind of, right?
Very much so, absolutely.
And Flo, you met him at Disney World.
Yes, in the late 70s. Yeah, it was actually Mike, LaToya, Janet, and Randy, and their bodyguard, Bill Bray.
And what was he like away from the spotlight? Did you ever meet the chimp, Bubbles the chimp?
No, but I know wild stories about Bubbles. You know, he wasn't always a nice little chimp when he first got there. He threw dishes and things from the chandeliers and everything.
Really?
And so they called in someone and they told Michael, you know, this is almost animal abuse. You have to feed him banana chips, not McDonald's, and put him in a diaper. So I never met Bubbles. But, you know, Patti's right. You know, Michael was a prankster, infectious smiles, sweet, wonderful personality all the time.
Patti, what was his relationship with his family like?
Well, when I knew Michael, the relationship was not great. He got along great with his sisters, but did not speak fondly of the guys in the family.
Really?
There was... he always, the conversations that we had, he always felt kind of put upon, because at the time that I met Michael, it was right when he was doing The Wiz, and he wasn't even speaking at that time. Michael used to literally sit in the studio with a pad and paper, with a pad and pen, and if he'd hear somebody say something remotely intelligent, he would write it down. He was always trying to learn and absorb anything that he thought was intelligent.
Yeah.
So he was very, very quiet, very, very shy, frighteningly shy.
Yeah.
And we didn't really start working together until The Dude, until Quincy Jones' album, The Dude. That's when I started talking to him. And a lot of our conversations were about his relationship with his family. He adored his mother, he adored his sisters, but at that particular time, he didn't have the greatest relationship with his brothers or with his dad, because he was really trying to branch out on his own. He was trying to break away from the Jackson 5 and break away from what that was. So he kind of felt that that was holding him back from being all that he ultimately became and wanted to be, and he worked very hard to become that.
Flo, was he afraid of his father?
When he was a kid, I don't really think he was ever as afraid of Mr. Jackson as the other boys were, because, you know, they would stand there and take punishment. I'm a kid born in the 50s. We got punished. You know, we really did, you know, with a belt, my mother say, go get the switch. That's what happened to black children. Your parents took nothing. But Michael would run from him. You know, he really kind of, you know, was a little more daring than the rest of the guys.
I think he used to get hit, though.
Well, no, if he caught him, but he would actually run from him and stand up and say smart things and tell him no.
But as an adult, do you think he liked it? Did he love his father?
Yes, he loved his father very much. And in the end, when they were preparing to go to London and Michael saw the contracts and things weren't right, he called his father to come in and negotiate with AEG for him.
Well, I'm sure he felt that his father was a strong negotiator,
good manager. He loved his father in the end. Yes.
But Patti, you say that Michael was a troubled soul who internalized his grief. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, Michael didn't really, I don't think he really talked that much about all of the pain that he felt to that many people. He would talk to me about it because we were working together. And I think when you have a working relationship with somebody, it's almost closer than if you're having a sexual relationship with them, if that makes any sense. You have a tendency, when you're working on an album or you're touring together, you have a tendency to become like a family. And you spend a lot of time on buses and a lot of times waiting in the studio to get back in and actually do your work. So you talk about things.
What was troubling him? Go ahead. What was troubling him?
Just his childhood really troubled him. He felt that he lost his childhood, which is why so many of us that knew Michael always said he suffered from Peter Pan syndrome. You know, he wanted to be forever young.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of, he acted out in a childlike way a lot because he didn't get to have that when he was a kid. And he felt, I mean, these were the discussions I had with him. I don't know what he said to anybody else, but he told me many times that he felt that he had been robbed of his childhood.
Yeah.
He loved the fact that he was able to become a great entertainer, but he also, at the same time, it was a love-hate thing. He hated the fact that he lost his childhood in the process. Yeah. And I started in the business when I was a kid, so this is a conversation we used to have a lot.
Yeah.
I started when I was 4.
Yeah. You know, Flo, you do say that the molestation trial that he had a profound impact on Michael. Tell me about that. How did that hurt him?
Well, it totally broke his spirit, Joy. Especially the second accusation where he was actually arrested and he was in court and on trial and he faced going to prison.
Yeah.
It totally broke his spirit. And when the district attorney's office came in, they totally wrecked his house. They tore paintings off the wall, threw around gold coins, and he never actually lived in the main house again after that. He'd stay in one of the guest houses because it was too painful for him to go into the house. And I just wanted to add, with his childhood, aside from, I know the having to perform and wanting to play was one thing, but I think he also, you know, even though he was a devout Jehovah's Witness and believed in his religion, he really always talked about the no Christmases and the no birthdays, and would even sneak over to his brother Jackie's house because his wife Enid put a Christmas tree up. So, you know, those were some of the things he missed about having a childhood also.
You know, before we go, I just want to bring one more thing up, Flo, because it came out in court this week that Michael really did have what they call vitiligo.
Vitiligo. Yes, he did.
And he had tattoos on his lips, on his eyes, on his scalp.
Well, that was the color. The lips, the pink color was tattooed on. I believe the eyeliner was tattooed on, and also you know, to darken the eyebrows, it was tattooed on. So
I'm not really clear on how that works. So
well, he didn't have to wear makeup. That's how that worked with the lips and eyes and everything.
So what did he do? His skin was spotting?
Yeah, it's spotty. Vitiligo is when your skin is a disease that starts turning white. And so, you know, he just
So then how did he get it to match?
Well, use creams that even it out so that he would still be able to perform and not, you know, not look scary or anything.
I see. Okay, thanks, ladies, very much. Thank you, Patti. And a quick note, Patti Austin's new album, Sound Advice, is available now. We'll be right back. She's a great singer. Great.